Welcome back to the Den of Nerds. I am Josh, and we have an amazing show for you today. Today, I want to talk a little bit about the Thunderbolts, Marvel's next big movie. And there's some interesting conversations happening right now around the Thunderbolts. Some screening information has come out. People are saying it's pretty hyped up. Marvel's pretty excited about it. But there remains this question of, will this movie actually perform well, or is it too similar to Captain America Brave New World? Are we in for another Captain America Brave New World, despite it potentially being a lot better of a film? I want to get into that. I want to break all of that down for you today. I also want to talk about Avengers Doomsday. Have you heard of this movie? Do you know about this movie? It's coming out soon, and it's going to be amazing, and I'm really excited for it. And I wanted to discuss couple of the cast members for that film. They've been out there, they've been getting asked about whether or not they're in the movie. They're giving some funny responses, and I also want to explain what I think is going on with these characters in the actual film. So that's going to be really cool. And then I also want to discuss something we talked about yesterday, but it has been confirmed, and that would be that WandaVision Scarlet Witch comic book, The Fate of the Scarlet Witch, potentially confirmed in a comic book. So that's really interesting. I want to get into that. I'll talk about who confirmed it. What does it mean? There's still a lot of conversation around that. People are excited, interesting, but also a little bit confused. So we'll get into all of that and more. Ladies and gentlemen, how are we all doing out there? Thanks everybody that's watching the program live. I see you guys chatting it up on YouTube, chatting it up on Twitch. Really appreciate you. Thank you so much. Hope you guys having a good week so far. It's been a crazy one over here. We've had a lot of news, a lot of spice, ups and downs when it comes to the Kathleen Kennedy story, Star Wars, things of that nature. I hope you're doing well. I hope you're having fun and being entertained this week. As far as show notes are concerned, tonight I will be making a return to Nerd Theory, even though it's not Nerd Theory anymore. I'm going back on a podcast with Star Wars Theory, Dash Star, and Stupendous Wave. We're going to talk about Star Wars tonight. All it took was the 13-year-long tenure of the president that destroyed the brand that I love the most finally retiring, and now I'm going to get back with the boys. We're going to talk some Star Wars. Now, let's be real. After our conversations yesterday, I don't know. We're going to talk about the potential good and the potential bad tonight. So it should be an interesting conversation. Hopefully one filled with laughs, and hopefully one that you guys really, really enjoy. So look out for that. That'll start at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 5 p.m. if you're on the West Coast. Nerd Theory returns, sort of, kind of, maybe a little bit tonight. So I'm excited for that. Other than that, guys, the only other thing I really want to put on your radar is next Tuesday night, we're going to be doing another watch party. We're bringing watch parties back for Daredevil Born Again. Man, I'm excited about Daredevil Born Again. It seems like it's going to be incredible. It seems like it's going to be heartbreaking. It seems like it's going to be a really good time and a really fun show to cover. So next Tuesday at 8:30 at night, we will start up a stream over here on the live streaming channel and on the Twitch. And we're gonna do a little watch party for Daredevil Born Again. 2 episodes drop. They're apparently insane. Apparently they're real crazy. So we're gonna get into that next week. I'm really excited for that. Genuinely, pretty excited to get back into the watch party stuff. It's been a while. It's been a while, man. It has been a while since we've done one of those. Very excited about this show. I think we're all gonna really enjoy it. I think we'll also be a little bit shocked, though, to be honest, by what's going to happen. And it's going to be tough. But you know what? We'll get through it together. We'll mourn it together. So I hope you're excited for that. Other than that, guys, just kind of like a regular week videos coming out in the next couple of days. Maybe a big one today. I'll update you. We should stream tomorrow as well. I don't see that being a problem. Hopefully there's some more cool news to go over. And other than that, we're going to just get right into the news. So I want to begin with the Thunderbolts thing. And I also want to say, we're, of course, going to save questions and answer, Q&A, for the back half of the video. I predict another really good day of Q&A because there's just been so much going on. I assume that a lot of you have a lot of questions. So we'll do a good Q&A section today. Get into a lot of that. We'll save that for later on in the show. Okay, let's talk Thunderbolts. Thunderbolts, man. The next Marvel movie that's coming out. And obviously the one that just came out was Captain America Brave New World. Fans are divided on it. Critics are divided on it. The box office doesn't look that great. We will see after this next weekend, the third weekend of its theatrical run. We'll see if it's going to get to that 425 mark or even 400. And Marvel then can say it didn't lose money, et cetera, et cetera. But either way, it's not going well. It's not blowing up. I think we can all admit that. Captain America Brave New World's not blowing up. It's not the belle of the ball. This isn't a Deadpool and Wolverine example. This is Brave New World. So the question is, will the issues of Brave New World have sort of a lingering effect on fans? Will they affect how people view the Thunderbolts movie? Well, they might. But there's a big difference between the Thunderbolts movie and Captain America Brave New World. And so I wanted to kind of dive into that. Now, this is starting to pop up all over the internet. I'm over here on maxblitz.com, but there are all sorts of articles, all sorts of insiders are starting to chime in, talking about the Thunderbolts. I think partially because that conversation is beginning. That conversation, the conversation of, is this going to perform like Brave New World? Is this different than Brave New World? That conversation is beginning. And so we had this article here talking about the screening reactions to Thunderbolts, saying people that saw it said it was a beast of a film and has scored extremely high in test screenings, earning some of the highest scores among all of Phase 5 films. And that's actually, it's kind of interesting because even late last year, if you check this out, this is a tweet from the Geeky Cast, friend of the channel. Definitely Geeky is plugged in, talks to a lot of people behind the scenes. He actually put this out November of last year, and he said that Thunderbolt test screening full details. The latest screening has been very positive. Yelena is the main character. Sentry has been a comic-accurate suit, but with some differences. Yelena begins on a mission. He goes into details of the plot. I'm not going to go into the plot details here, but the main thing is that we have heard over and over again that the film has performed really, really well in test screenings. And then I want to bring this into the conversation as well. This is a tweet made by Viewer Anon, who's another one of these insiders, scooper accounts. I think he's fairly good. And Viewer Anon says this. I found this piece of information to be fascinating. Standard disclaimer about test screenings not reflecting the final product, audience response, etc. But Marvel was nervous enough about the Marvels and about Cap 4 that they tested them publicly, which is not something I heard about with Thunderbolts. Okay, that's pretty key. So let me just kind of set the stage for you, and then I want to talk about why this is so different than Captain America, okay? So you have a lot of buzz that the screenings went well. This is, going into last year, and it seems to be resurfacing again right now, maybe because of the conversation shifting into Thunderbolts, or maybe there was another screening. I'm not sure. I can't confirm that. And then you have this comment here that explains that Marvel Studios was so nervous about the Marvels and Cap 4 that they tested them publicly, which is not something I heard about with Thunderbolts. So first off, let's now consider this piece of information and think about the Marvels and Cap 4. The Marvels and Cap 4 have a couple of things in common. Number one, they were spoiled to all shit, meaning we had full-on plot details pretty far in advance of what the entire movie was going to be like, and there were slight changes, there were slight differences, but by and large, we knew exactly what both movies were going to be. Now, maybe you don't follow the leaks that closely. I've sort of stopped doing full leak videos where I'm like, hey, here's literally everything in Thunderbolts. I tend to do more content these days that's like, hey, here's this one aspect of a leak that I think is really interesting. Here's what it could mean. So I don't really do full plot leaks anymore. It's not really my thing. So maybe you didn't see it too if you just watch a lot of my content for the leaks, right? But I promise you, we knew what the Marvels was very early on, and we knew what Cap 4 was early on. We also learned pretty fairly early in the sort of news cycle of both of those movies that they weren't doing well and that Marvel was not happy with the films, right? So there were a lot of reports about the Marvels And some people didn't believe all of them. I know Jeff Snyder had some reports that people were like, what? Like, I don't know if I believe that. Then there's Nia DaCosta leaving all of this, not good stuff that surrounded the cycle of news of covering that movie. And then, it comes out, it's pretty goobly glob. And a similar thing happened with Captain America Brave New World. And so the normal strategy for Marvel Studios is that they do a lot of test screenings, but they tend to do a lot of private test screenings, meaning it's just friends and family of like executives or people at Marvel. They really do what's called internal testing. It's all either company people or it's like Feige and the producers and, maybe the director and the writers of the movie. I don't know, like a group of people that are just looking it over. And then they will bring in some friends and family, get their opinions as well. That's normally how this goes. But with Brave New World and the Marvels, they literally did public test screenings. These you can like sign up for and you go watch the movie. You might not even know what the movie is when you go to see it. You're given it like a little survey where you fill out the things you like, the things you don't like, et cetera, et cetera. Some companies do a lot more public test screenings and some do not. Marvel does a lot of test screenings, but they're normally internal. And then, it sort of leaks out and comes out. So I find this to be a pretty interesting piece of information. To me, this now really explains the Marvels and Brave New World a little bit more, because part of why I was so frustrated with Brave New World is because I followed that movie for years, like followed the coverage of it, followed the leaks, the rumors, what was going on, and pretty much, really connected to that was negativity. It's not going well. And I think this whole situation just shows that, like, yeah, that was real and that information we had was accurate. And so we weren't crazy. Marvel really did make a couple of stinkers, and they knew they were stinkers, and they knew so much that they were stinkers that they needed to publicly test them to see if like normies would also agree. And then they made, in my opinion, what happened was they made changes based on the normies' notes, because they knew, they were like, look, we're not going to make high art here. This shit sucks. But what we could do is make a movie good enough that like normies can still cheer for it and kind of have a good time. Kind of like Rise of Skywalker energy, which really, it's interesting. Both of those movies, Marvels and Cap 4, do kind of feel like Rise of Skywalker to me. I don't know if you agree, but they do to me, where it's just like, go, 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 go. So that takes us, though, to the difference with Thunderbolts. You see, we haven't actually heard full-on plot details about Thunderbolts for a long time. We're not sure of everything that happens in the movie. We were a lot more sure about the Marvel's plot, and we were a lot more sure about Brave New World's plot. That's because when you publicly test things, public leaks happen. Sure, you're not supposed to talk about it, but then you go make an Anon Twitter account or an Anon Reddit account, and then you blurb it out and it gets shared out, et cetera, et cetera. So that's part of why we don't know exactly what's going to happen in the third act of Thunderbolts, and I think that's really cool and exciting. But it also means that that's the reason that we haven't heard too much about Thunderbolts in general. With Cap 4 and the Marvels, it was almost like every 4 to 6 months we would hear test screening, not going well. Test screening, not going well. With Thunderbolts, it's just like vaguely hearing that it's tested well. And that's because there were no public test screenings. It was all just tested internally. And look, here's the deal. The reason I really wanted to bring this story up, right? Like, if you're a hardcore Marvel sweaty like I am, and you really believe that, Kevin Feige is really good at what he does, and he's really intelligent, and what he did with the phases 1 through 3 was incredible, and then things kind of went off the rails. One of the issues I've personally had, and I think it's a scary idea, is like, do they really not know that they're making crap? Because that would suck. The worst case scenario would be if Kevin Feige did not realize that Cap 4 sucked ass. It would be terrible if Kevin Feige did not realize that the Marvels was whack. But what this piece of information tells me is that he does still know that. And they had the wherewithal to know that they needed public screenings because this shit was whack. And look, on the one hand, does that kind of suck? Because it's like, yeah, look, they knew it was whack and they just pushed it out and they were like, trying to make it the best that they could. And they were essentially lying to us and gaslighting us into thinking it was going to be just like all the other Marvel movies, while secretly they knew they were about to push out a turd. Like, yes, that sucks. But the silver lining is like they're still competent enough to know the difference between when something is working and it's really good and the audiences are going to respond to it well, and when that's not happening. You know what I'm saying? So within this It's So Over, I have found a We're So Back. I have found a way to be positive, and this was like refreshing to me, where I was like, oh my God, thank God. Thank God they actually sat down and watched the Marvels and they were like, this shit is whack. Like, thank God. Thank God they watched Brave New World and were like, we need to publicly test this because I can't stand anything that's on the screen. I can't give proper feedback because I can't stand this fucking movie. Like, that's, you know what I mean? I'm exaggerating. I'm being hyperbolic, of course. But there is a reality here that Marvel's still able to make a movie like Thunderbolts, feel very confident in what they have, realize it's really good, and only need to test it internally, make a few tweaks here. Like, basically, this means Feige has not completely lost his touch, and he can still produce in this way and make it really, really good. So, look, that's what I think is going on. Now, here's the other question, though. Will it be enough? And this is another question that I'm fascinated by as a fan, as a pundit, or whatever, right? Like, I'm fascinated by this question because although I feel really good about everything I just told you, and I feel like I'm about to go watch this movie, it's going to be really cool, and I'm going to enjoy it a lot as a fan, there's this question of like, but what if it actually doesn't make any money? What if Brave New World kind of stunk up the room? And what if it just feels like Thunderbolts is too similar to Brave New World? Because you and I right now, we just had this whole conversation. I just blurbed for like 15 minutes about why Thunderbolts is so much better than Brave New World. You and I understand this. We are so plugged in, and we're just the ultra sweaty. We're the ultra nerdy. But the normies, the mass appeal audiences, they don't know any of that. And so if you just were to look at both of these movies, they feel very similar. They're both about kind of B and C level characters. Frankly. They're both movies that play off of characters that had their stories advanced in Disney Plus shows. They're both movies that feel like they were greenlit at a time when Marvel Studios was sort of, I don't necessarily want to say they were taking their audience for granted, but I truly believe that the ego and the success had gotten out of control, and they felt like they could do anything. And the fans would be like, yo, Marvel, let's go. And that has not been what has happened. So unfortunately, there's a lot that hangs over the Thunderbolts that's negative, and it's the product of like Marvel's kind of fumbling of movies like The Marvels, like Brave New World, like Quantumania, etc. I guess we're going to see with this movie whether or not, first of all, whether or not it's actually high quality. I'm really starting to feel like it's going to be high quality. In the same way that I was really worried about Brave New World, I'm really excited for Thunderbolts. Even if this movie makes $2, it'll be my $2 because I'm going to go see that movie. I'm excited. But what I am curious about is whether or not them actually making a really good movie and connecting the dots and like getting their situation figured out, is that actually going to matter, or has there been too much damage? The other thing that'll be fascinating to see is like, will it open low, but then have a strong hold in the same way that Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 had? Because Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 had a like 47% hold. It was crazy to witness. Came in under expectations, incredible legs in weekend 2, and then went on to almost make $1 billion. I think it made like 850 or something like that. Great box office take for a Guardians of the Galaxy movie, right? So Will Thunderbolts get that? Are there enough Marvel fans that just want to go have a fun time at the movies and still have a love for Marvel and are willing to just go and have a good time, even on a movie like this that's not Deadpool and Wolverine or Avengers with RDJ, right? These are lesser known characters. I love Bucky, but these are, B and C level characters. I'm going to be fascinated to see what happens in the box office here. And I'm curious, man. I'm really curious how you guys all feel about this, right? Like, are you really excited for Thunderbolts? Are you going to get out there and cheer for Thunderbolts? Are you going to try to get the normies in your life to go check out Thunderbolts? Are you going to go try to get the boys together to go watch Thunderbolts? I don't know. I think we got a couple of months here. We'll see how the marketing pops off. Maybe if they tease a little bit more of that hardcore Century and Void kind of a situation, we'll see. Maybe that could really get some butts in the seats. We're going to find out. By the way, we did our deep dive last night on Century. Oh, man, that was a good stream last night, That was fun. And I do wonder if they're going to take some of the more crazy, mental health, trippy aspects of Century and put it into the movie at all. Very curious how all of that plays out. So, just wanted to touch on this first. The Thunderbolts news. We're going to find out a lot. We're going to find out a lot about Marvel. We're going to find out a lot about Marvel's fan base and their potential fan base. We're going to find out a lot about the brand. We're going to find out a lot when it comes to the Thunderbolts film. Okay, let's shift into talking about Avengers Doomsday and Avengers Secret Wars. Obviously, it's a big freaking deal. Hey, by the way, are you excited about Thunderbolts? Smash a like on the video. Are you excited for Avengers Doomsday? Smash the like on the video. Do you think that the MCU's dead and it'll never recover and there's nothing they can do? Smash a goddamn like on the video. I don't care what you're thinking, feeling. You watch this guy, just smash a like. So, Avengers Doomsday. Avengers Secret Wars. These are big deals. These are big movies. Massive for Marvel. The future. It's all on the line, baby. And lately, we've been really curious and wondering who's going to be in these movies, dude. They're about to film. They're building the sets right now. Every day I go to Twitter and hope that there's a Doctor Doom set leak or some leak of his armor or this, that, second, and the third. Very interested in how all of that's going to go down. But another thing that we're interested in is, like, who's going to be in this goddamn movie? And a lot of people keep being asked about it. We're about to watch a thing here with Chris Pratt. He was out there promoting the new movie that he's actually doing with the Russo Brothers. I think it's called Electric Dream State or like Electric Millie Bobby Brown or something like that. And so he was asked on the red carpet premiere about being in Doomsday, and he kind of had his publicist come in and be like, nope, we're not answering that shit. Well, Mr. Jimmy Kimmel put him on the spot, I think just last night. Let's watch this exchange.
Will you be in the Avengers movie? I know you were across the street with the Russo brothers at their Hand and Footprints star ceremony.
Yeah, I was.
Is this something you can share with us? Will Star-Lord be a part of this?
At the end, for people who know the Marvel world, we did Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 was the last time you saw Star-Lord, and there was a promise that Star-Lord would return.
The legendary Star-Lord
will return was the promise. And so all I can say is we will make good on that promise.
But maybe not in this movie?
I feel like there's a Marvel sniper somewhere.
Yeah, there is. There are. There always are.
There always. No, I can't say. I will say no more.
All right. Do the Marvel people know you can rap? Because I feel like you could work that in too. I mean,
you think so?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if Will is into rap music.
True.
Maybe now they'll watch this. So maybe they'll find out.
Well, it's great to.
Interesting. So basically a non-comment, right? Where he's like, look, and by the way, they probably had a conversation about this. I really like Chris Pratt, but I assume on the red carpet, just based off of that answer, if you look at what he said on the red carpet, he kind of like looks over to his manager, and his manager just kind of comes in to protect him. And then they must have talked, man. He must have been coached on how to give a better answer, because this is a much better answer. I think he's in the movie, okay? I think he's in the movie, and I think he kind of almost has to be in the movie for a couple of reasons here. Number one, the story. And the story of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 did put Peter Quill back on Earth. And I think that's probably a Marvel thing, although I've never heard this completely confirmed. But it just seemed like, of course, it's a resolution to a lot of like Peter's arc because he finally like goes back home and he's back on Earth with his grandpa and all that, right? So that's cool. But this also is where Doctor Doom's going to assault, where the Avengers are going to meet either Doctor Doom or Doctor Doom's henchmen and have a big fight. And so I think from a story perspective, if you're just like looking at what happened in Guardians and potentially what's going to happen in Doomsday, I think that Chris Pratt will definitely be a part of it. Here's the other thing, though. Chris Pratt is like a massive fucking star. It's actually wild how big of a star he has become. Various roles that he's played, a lot of big movies. He's probably a bigger star than ever, which is so wild. Like, it's very wild to me that he is that big of a star, but he obviously is. And I think, you know, having this relationship with the Russos, making this movie, I think they definitely understand the value of having an actor like him and a star like him in a big old movie like that. Because, dude, here's another thing that's kind of interesting about Avengers Doomsday and Secret Wars. The Russo brothers have built-in incentives this time that if the movies make over $1 billion, they get like massive pay upgrades. They might have one that kicks in at $2 billion as well, but I know for sure they have bonus kick-ins at $1 billion, which is great. Like, that's great. I mean, come on. We want these movies to be as big as possible, and we want the incentive to be there for the directors. But I think if you're just thinking in terms of like, hey, man, let's get that $1 billion, Chris Pratt, super important to that. And I wonder what you think of that, you know, because he'll probably just be chilling with his grandpa, and then some wild shit happens on Earth, and then he probably just shows up in New York to try to help. You know what I mean? Like, that's what I assume is going to happen. I assume he's just going to show up in New York, and there will be, you know, stuff going down. Reed Richards will probably be there trying to warn everybody about Doctor Doom. You'll have Sam Wilson. You'll have Bucky Barnes. You'll have like both those teams of Avengers. I think obviously Star-Lord has had experience with both of those guys, I believe. Pretty sure, maybe not. Yeah, Star-Lord comes back at the end for the fight in Endgame. So like somewhat had a relationship with all of those guys. So it'll be fun. It'll be fun to see Chris Pratt in the mix with all of those other characters as shit gets really wild and as shit hits the fan. Here's another actor that has recently been asked about this, and that would be Tom Hiddleston. Tom Hiddleston recently out there doing some press, and people have been asking him about whether or not he's going to be in Doomsday or Secret Wars with Loki, and he's kind of just doing the same thing that Chris is doing. But let's watch this here, okay? Let's see what the man says.
Thank you. Thank you. Are you going to be in Doomsday or
I mean, you pushed in the queue, you shouldn't be there.
What's that? Are you going to be in Doomsday or Secret Wars?
I don't know.
You don't know? Oh.
I don't know.
There you go, the exclusive.
What?
Thank you.
A good actor.
Thank you. Are you going to be in Doomsday or
I mean, you
Secret
pushed in
Wars?
the queue, you shouldn't be there.
What's that? Are you going to be in Doomsday or Secret Wars?
I don't know.
You don't know?
I don't know. It's about to film in a month, man. I think you probably know. Now, let's talk about Loki. Let's talk about Loki for a second. Do we think Loki is going to be in Doomsday? I think yes, especially because we're about to talk about Scarlet Witch and that comic book and the TVA connection and everything like that. And I think Loki actually is sort of a missing piece in that puzzle that can help explain all of that. But do you guys think Tom Hiddleston's going to be in it? I feel like he has to be. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. For me, just the way I see all this going down, and obviously what they did in Loki Season 1 and Loki Season 2, but also if you look at Deadpool and Wolverine and that comic book, it just really feels that the TVA in some way is going to play a role here, potentially setting up multiversal Avengers. And I know for sure that Marvel has a plan to have a reunion between Loki and Thor, which will be really cool. Like, dude, Loki has been through so much since he last saw Thor. Thor has been through a lot too, but only because he had to go through like Taika Waititi having a breakdown and doing a terrible ass follow-up to Ragnarok. So like Thor's been going through it too, but like in a different way. Loki has seen some goddamn shit, and Loki wants to just see his brother again. I cannot wait for the catharsis that will be created when Loki has an interaction with his brother. And by the way, these character moments, I keep trying to bring these up because, you know, frankly, I think a lot of the conversation or the way people are seeing Doomsday and Secret Wars is like, it's going to be slop and it's going to be like bereft of meaning and character moments. And I'm just telling you, I promise you, there's a whiteboard at Marvel Studios that has many very impactful character moments that they want to have happen. And a big one is Loki and Thor. So there's going to be some moments in these movies that fucking hit, bro. And they hit the way that Infinity War and Endgame used to hit. So I definitely think he's going to beat it. The question is, will Loki be in Doomsday and Secret Wars, or is he more of a Secret Wars character? Because if he's creating multiversal Avengers, or if he's holding the entire multiverse together, perhaps it won't be until Doctor Doom accomplishes his goal that then we would see Loki finally able to let all of that go and then maybe collect up heroes as all of the universes are being destroyed or something. I'm not entirely sure, but it seems like that is probably something that's going to happen. As far as the multiverse Avengers go, I get the sense that this will be similar to the time heist, except instead of the time heist happening, you know, throughout the MCU catalog, we will instead have a time heist where we go to all of the old Fox movies and we grab characters up out of those movies. Kind of like how they grabbed up Deadpool, or rather Wolverine in Deadpool and Wolverine, right? TVA just shows up at an important moment, like Logan. Now, he was already dead and whatever, but like that's my point is, I think that if you want to replicate some of the juice from Endgame and Infinity War, it's wise to look at what worked and how you could tweak that formula in the multiverse to make it even better. So, like, I think Loki's the way you get there. Essentially, Loki could probably let go of all of the time, like the timelines of the multiverse, but then before they all completely disappear forever, he goes in there himself and grabs them up, bringing them to the TVA. Kind of seems like he might have done that with Wanda too, which we'll get to in a second. But I think Loki and Tom Hiddleston is going to be a massive part of bringing this whole thing together. And it gets kind of interesting and exciting. You're talking about actors like Chris Pratt. You're talking about actors like Loki, Chris Hemsworth, Robert Downey Jr., Benedict Cumberbatch. Bro, this shit is stacked. Elizabeth Olsen as well. Like, I know not all of us love, you know, Sam as Cap. Not all of us love, you know, some of the new characters that they've created. And some of the, there's a lack of connection to some of these characters and some of the actors. But, brother, they've got gas. These actors and actresses are absolutely incredible. And Elizabeth Olsen is the next one. I mean, she keeps getting asked about it as well. She's currently in London right now. And she's technically not in London right now for a Marvel Cinematic Universe thing, but probably just like Tom Holland is scheduling some London shooting around his shooting for Doomsday, Elizabeth Olsen is probably doing the same thing. That's probably why Chris Hemsworth is in London as well, right? So from what we currently know right now, most of the actors that will be showing up for Doomsday will film for 1 month's time, 4 to 5 weeks of shooting, okay? And it's going to be crazy. They're going to be very stretched. They're going to be working really hard because, you know, not to get in the weeds with all of this, but you have what's known as like a shooting schedule, and you basically don't shoot a movie in order. You shoot a movie in the smartest way that you can to save the most amount of time. And that's what's going to happen here. And by the way, the Russos are like the only people that could actually handle this at the scale that Marvel needs, right? This is fascinating. Like, this whole thing is so interesting to me. But you'll essentially have a lot of these actors go there and film for about a month. Robert Downey Jr. is going to be filming for 3 months. And my God, I mean, I know he's getting like $100 million or whatever it is to do these 2 movies. I know it's insane. Like it could be, I think the trade said it was at least $125 million for Downey. So like, don't get me wrong. I know he's getting paid like the most amount of fucking money, but he's about to have 3 of the most insane months of his life. He's probably prepping for it right now. Getting ready right now. Getting into the character of Doom right now for 3 months of scenes where he will be interacting with all of these various actors that I'm talking about. Maybe not all of them. Maybe some of them will have kind of offshoot scenes. They just deal with the Dark Avenger or whatever. Doom's in the background and whatnot. But a lot of these characters, he's going to have big scenes with. I assume there's a really big scene with Loki. I assume. I don't know exactly how or why, but I assume he's going to have a really big scene with Loki. We've heard that he's going to have an incredible scene with Benedict Cumberbatch. Some of the most important scenes in the Multiverse Saga, as it has been described. Amazing. We know he's going to have epic and really important scenes with Tom Holland, Spider-Man. Epic. I don't know if he's going to have a scene with Chris Pratt. That would be amazing. He's probably going to have scenes with Anthony Mackie and those Avengers, right? I mean, this dude is going to be turning in performance out of performance. And you know what else? This isn't even in my script, but I just wanted to talk about this. Have any of you guys ever watched any of the behind-the-scenes stuff with how RDJ shoots his Iron Man stuff when he was in his prime? Have any of you guys watched a lot of the behind-the-scenes stuff there? The point I'm making is Robert Downey Jr., he's a fascinating actor, and he goes off the script a lot. A lot. And part of the reason he goes off script is because he feels like he has to keep it organic. This was in a big Esquire report that came out last year where they sort of talked about him returning to Doom. We talked about it on a stream. Maybe you were here for that. Essentially, Downey, he'll have a scene, he'll have a script. Sometimes he just has to completely change it up, tear it up, give a completely new thing, and go in a different direction. He has this ability to like keep the scene alive and make the actors that are playing across from him just really need to bring their best and like play off of each other. And it's a beautiful thing. He's a really, really talented guy. And so what I'm saying is like, you're going to have these scenes and these scripted scenes that McFeely's writing, and they matter for sure a lot. But some of the juice in this movie is going to come from some really talented actors that have been doing this for a long time, and they're going to bring this crazy off-the-page energy. Downey's going to say some shit that wasn't in the script, or he's going to get into a vibe that wasn't in the script, and the other people are going to play off of it. It's just fascinating. I'm so interested to see how all of that's going to work. And the main point that I'm bringing up here is, like, it's starting to be that time where we're really asking ourselves, who are the different actors that are going to show up in this thing? And so I wanted to go over a couple of them that I think will be, some of the comments they are currently making, why I think they're going to be in the movie, how they're going to show up in the movie, and why I'm so excited. Like, this is, they're cooking. They're really cooking here. And so, yeah, that's kind of all I had to say on that. I wonder, do you think Chris Pratt's going to be in it? Do you think Tom Hiddleston's going to be in it? Do you think Lizzie Olsen's going to be in it? Because Lizzie, apparently, she's going to have a huge role. Maybe almost as big of a role as Doom. And that's fascinating. And on that note, ladies and gentlemen, let's talk about this. This is fascinating to me. So we spoke a little bit about this yesterday. I was still unclear exactly how this was all working. I'm still a little unclear. But we talked yesterday about this image here. So if you're listening on the podcast, maybe you can't see this. This is an image from the last page of a comic book. It is Spider-Gwen in the basement of the TVA, and front and center in a full panel splash page is the Scarlet Witch dressed just like she was in Multiverse of Madness in some kind of stasis chamber underneath the TVA. Now, normally, right, this happens, you put it in a comic book, who cares? What's the big deal? It doesn't matter. This comic was specifically sold to us as canon to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It has Deadpool and Wolverine. It has a Gwenpool in it. It now has Wanda, and I believe it has other people that we've seen in Marvel movies as well. Some of the characters from Loki, etc. Okay? So when this first came out, and we were all talking about it yesterday, we were like, what is this? Like, is this actually real? What could this actually represent? Well, interestingly, Pepe Larraz, who is the artist on this, who's brilliant, by the way. I absolutely love his work. He's done a lot of really cool stuff with Mark Miller. Yeah, cool stuff over there. But he was asked on social media, is this Elizabeth Olsen's Scarlet Witch? And he literally says, yep. I think he goes on to say he was told it is her and given reference and told to draw her exactly that way. But he's not like giving us full details on what is going on here. But this is confirmation from the actual artist that does this comic that is Elizabeth Olsen's Scarlet Witch. Okay. All of a sudden, this gets really interesting. Now, one of the reasons this is so interesting is because we just had this big discussion of what actors are going to be in Doomsday, what characters are going to play what roles in that big story, who's doing what, how's it all going to fit together? Well, one interesting element is, of course, Elizabeth Olsen, who is already in London. She will be in Avengers Doomsday, potentially Secret Wars, a big part of all of that. And the rumors are that she has a major role in these Avenger movies, mostly because she will be the quote-unquote girlfriend of Doctor Doom. She will be working with Doctor Doom, and some aspects of the Children's Crusade thing are going to be adapted here, and Doom and Wanda are going to be working side by side in reshaping the universe and potentially ruling over the cosmos. Okay? Now, we don't know exactly what that looks like, but what we do know is the last time we saw Wanda, she was dead. Essentially, at the end of Multiverse Madness, she destroys Mount Wundagore. She destroys all the copies of the Darkhold, and then she allows Mount Wundagore to just smash her. Then there's a little puff of red light. That's all we knew. Some people speculated maybe she was in the Witch's Road. The Witch's Road isn't a thing, so she wasn't in the Witch's Road. According to this comic, she's in the TVA. Now, I got to tell you, this is really interesting. Number one, of course, it's interesting because it's like, are we doing this? Is this a thing now? Comics giving big spoilers to Marvel MCU movie and show content? I mean, I'm kind of interested. I want to go read this whole thing. I'm wondering, how many issues is this comic? Chat, can somebody tell me that? How many issues is this comic? Like, because I want to read it all, and I wouldn't mind reading more comics that connected to really interesting Marvel things like this. Okay, so that's one piece of it. The other piece, of course, is what the hell is she doing in the TVA? Is this Loki's doing? Is this Doctor Doom's doing? Is Doom already in control of the TVA? Is she, like, because here's a thought I had, right? If Loki is building up the multiversal Avengers, why is she in stasis? Why is she in stasis? Like, why is she in carbonite? Like, if Loki just wants to use her, why is she here? Why is she like this? Okay, so that kind of makes me think she was taken off the stage of the multiversal game because she's potentially just too powerful or too much of a problem. Was this the TVA seeing what she actually did in Multiverse of Madness and holding her in like a prison here? Why didn't they just prune her? Is she so powerful that she cannot be pruned? Is this a room filled with Omega level threat characters from throughout the multiverse? Who else is in this room if so? How does Wanda end up with Doctor Doom? Are we going to see that Doctor Doom infiltrates the TVA, finds where they're holding Wanda? Is Wanda being held in the TVA so that Doctor Doom has trouble finding her? Because maybe Loki and others have seen that he's going to use Wanda's power to recreate all of reality? So many questions. It's really interesting, man. And I hope that this actually leads to something. And I hope that, like, after we see what happens in the movie or whatever, we can be like, oh my God, that comic set that up. That's so cool. We actually knew this might be coming, and we kind of had all these thoughts about it due to that. I personally, guys, I would be cool with them continuing to do this. I don't think you could replace like full ass storylines and like make people read full ass storylines that then really matter. Like, you know, somebody brought up yesterday, and I thought it was a fair comment. Somebody brought up yesterday, isn't this even worse than the Disney Plus problem? And what they meant was like, you know, we just had Hideo Kojima say, what the hell's going on? Is this because I didn't watch Falcon and the Winter Soldier? When did Sam become Cap? Who are these new Avengers, etc.? Not a lot of people are watching the Disney Plus stuff. So it's difficult to use the Disney Plus shows to set up the status quo of your movies. People are going to be lost. If you do it to comic books, even fewer people will know what the fuck is going on. That is fair. But there's a way to do it where you just tease some interesting things like this, and then the actual story, the actual explanation is done in the shows and movies. Mostly the movies. So if they could strike the right balance here, I would actually be okay with it. I think it could actually work, and it would certainly make me interested to read these comics, to be able to break them down with you. So that could be kind of a fun thing for the community, right? Where like, oh no, we have another outlet of like getting cool information when it comes to Marvel and whatnot. And if they put super high talent on, like Pepe Larraz is like a fire artist, man. So if they're putting really good talent on these things too, I see no reason why we can't enjoy them and use them to enhance our experience as fans. So I just wanted to bring this up because yesterday we were a little unclear. Today, because of Pepe basically saying like, yeah, that's Wanda, a lot more people are taking it seriously. And I'm going to read the shit out of this thing to see what's going on. So I wanted to bring that up to you. Let me know your thoughts. And on that note, ladies and gentlemen, let's get into Q&A, man. Let's get into the question and answer portion of the show today. I will go over all of the super chats, the member chats. I will hang out in the chat as well, just to see what y'all are saying. It's that time again, and I want to warn everybody that's listening on the podcast, we've had a really good show so far. You know, a lot of cool updates, a lot of fun speculation. It's been pretty chill. But I'm about to open myself up to the scum and villainy that is the live chat. And they might say some ridiculous nonsense just to get me upset. And so I want to warn you. Now's that part of the show where I might get triggered and crash out. Okay, with that said, let's get into it today. Furious Liquid is the first in today with a 5 spot. Says Santa Amina is a huge red flag. Already trying to put her characters in Daredevil. Fuck, I have no idea what you're talking about here. I'm going to need more context, but I appreciate it. Thank you. Kaylin J says, happy Thursday, gang. Nerd Avengers for life. Oh, hell yeah. John Cross says, today is a great day to listen to spoilers about Brave New World with Anthony Mackie on the official Marvel podcast. No, we're not doing that anymore. I don't want to. Thank you anyways, though. Appreciate you, John. Cash Lorayos with a 12-month member chat says, Charlie, Emergency Awesome, has a theory that the century twist will happen at the end of the movie. Kind of explains why he's not in Doomsday. Has a theory that century twist will happen at the end of the movie. Again, I'm going to need more context here, brother. I'm not sure what you mean by the century twist. I don't know what you mean by that. I like Charlie, though. Is it in one of his recent videos? Maybe I'll check it out and see what the theory is. And I don't know if he's in Doomsday or not. I haven't heard anything on that. But like we just said, there's like 1 million people in Doomsday. And it's probably best to like go for the big names and the big stars. Guilty Annihilator says, I'm hopeful for the DCU. Marvel needs the competition. Time for Feige to bust out while, the white do-rag and the lemon pep stripes. Time to play, baby. Steppas? The lemon pepper steppas? I mean, we'll see. Look, I think we're probably getting back to business with Feige. I think good things are on the way. Of course, Brave New World, not the best. Daredevil Born Again seems awesome. There's a lot of other stuff that I'm like iffy on, right? But by and large, I think the general direction of where things are going is good. I think these Avengers movies are really going to surprise people. And then I think we'll kick off with the X-Men, and I think X-Men will be really good too. John Cross says, Nerd Theory? Watch parties? Are we back in 2022? Let's fucking go. I know, right? It does kind of have that vibe. It does kind of feel like that. And, Tuesday, I certainly felt like that. Tuesday felt like the good old days a little bit. Tuesday, man, those were good vibes. And I'm going to try to bring some of that energy tonight on Nerd Theory. I'm excited, of course, to speak with my friend Theory. And, I want to meet the boys. Dash and I talked back in the day via email a little bit. I don't really know Stupendous Wave, but we talked a little bit on Twitter. And I just think Stupendous Wave is awesome. And I got to tell you, I love the energy around what Theory is doing, his team, what they're doing with Theory Sabers, going around to the conventions and stuff like that. It feels like they're all having a lot of fun. There's an authenticity to that journey for him and what he's doing. So I'm really excited just to give him some props for that. And hopefully link up, too, at a con sometime this year. But for tonight, we shall talk about how Kathleen Kennedy is gone. But we also might have to talk about how maybe she's not gone. Oh, no! Oh, no! Rossi says, I can't wait for you to read all 6 hours of Supers for Nerd Theory. Yeah, that shit ain't happening. I already told Theory I could do like an hour and a half tonight. I mean, I might get roped into more, but nah. We're not doing that. Rossi, thank you again for the sticker. Guilty Annihilator says, did I seriously hear that KK is investing in a large AI companies? The witch is trying to achieve immortality. No, end this wickedness, please. Yeah, she is interested in AI, but a lot of people in Hollywood are interested in AI. I mean, I know there's an element of concern about, human workforce and all this other stuff, but a lot of people just see that it is the future and that the technology is going to make it so that movies are easier to make and cheaper to make. And that will allow the barrier of entry for filmmakers to go way down. That will come with good things and bad things. A lot more slop out there, a lot more bullshit. But maybe some real diamonds in the rough, a lot of really surprisingly deep stories and interesting characters that come from people that we maybe never would have seen make it in the Hollywood system. So, yeah, all of that's kind of interesting. Now, is she going to make an AI version of herself to rule Star Wars and Disney for the rest of time? God, I hope not. And if so, we're going to have to Terminator this shit and figure out how to destroy it. Trevor says, if Doomsday is RDJ's movie, like Infinity War was Thanos' movie, do you think RDJ will have more screen time than Thanos did in Infinity War? I think so. Again, he's shooting for 3 months. He's the central figure of this film. He's having interactions with many different characters. Yeah, I think he's probably going to have just as much, if not more, screen time than Infinity War. I predict Doomsday will be a longer movie than Infinity War. And I think Infinity War is like 2.5 hours. I predict Doomsday will be longer than that. Maybe not by much, but I think they have a lot to accomplish in that movie. Kaylin J says, is Tiamat still a part of the plot? For what? For Doomsday? I don't know that I ever remember Tiamat being a part of the plot. I don't know where you got that from. I don't ever remember talking about that. And he says, fingers crossed that Sam Wilson and the Thunderbolts, Ross, Red Hulk make an appearance, or at least a post-credit scene. Oh, Sam Wilson's going to be a big part of that movie, too. He's leading the Avengers. Like, he will be... By the way, I have a big video coming out. You mentioned Tiamat and the Thunderbolts. When? And in what sense? I mean, Tiamat, I think, could be a part of how the Century's serum is made, and I've speculated about that, but there's never been any leaks to directly connect Tiamat to the Thunderbolts movie. I've never said that. Maybe you misinterpreted something I did say, but nah, I don't think so. And then Doomsday, though, it was a scoop/rumor. Yeah, but here's the thing. Like, from who? Like one of the million scoopers that isn't good and just steals everybody's stuff? Like, look, a lot of these guys are just not reliable. Like, I'm sorry. That's what it is. Philip Hatch says, is Loki's arc more gratifying than Tony's? I actually do think so. I do think so. I think Loki has the best arc out of any character within Marvel. And also, it's interesting because he was a character that had been arced out multiple times. Multiple times, his arc felt like it was over, and then they found an interesting way to revitalize it again. And I think Loki is the best example of a character that literally died, had a really meaningful, important death, and then we sort of undid that, and he went on to have an even greater story. So, like, a lot of people are mad that, like, you know, Steve Rogers is coming back, or Tony's coming back, or Doom's coming back, or whatever, right? But Loki's the example of how you can do the exact thing that everybody doesn't want them to do, right? All these people are like, just let dead characters stay dead. Then you would never have Loki. That character was dead. Like, you understand? So, yeah, Loki's arc is more gratifying than Tony's so far. Tony's got a little bit more in him. We'll see what happens. Joey Ebb says, do you think Doom will go to the TVA and break Wanda out in Doomsday? Yeah, I kind of do. At this point, I kind of do. Or there's something that will happen at the end of this comic that puts her in a different place. What if Doom gets her at the end of the comic? I mean, that would be a little crazy, right? But, yeah, I do. I do think it's possible that Doom goes to the TVA and breaks Wanda out. And what if there are other people in this room? What if there are other Omega-level threats? Reality-destroying beings. Wouldn't that be cool? Philip Hatch says, Josh, I just got sent a clip of RDJ on Rogan in the Discord. I'll get those non-believers hyped for RDJ, Doom, and the Russos. Yeah, this is from back in the day, probably, right? I've brought this clip up many times. You know, he even back then did not want to just come back. He was like, no, I can't just come back and put the jersey on. There would have to be a reason. It would have to be compelling. And also, now I'm going to sneeze. Zach says, I'm down with the tie-in comic as long as it's done right. Although I can see it causing more fatigue. I love her being in the TVA, though. Nerd Avengers for life. Yeah, it's a good way to say it. Like, there's a worry of fatigue. Maybe if it's kept with some super nerdy, teasy, spoilery stuff, people like you and I can enjoy it, and it won't really affect people like Hideo Kojima. We'll see. It is cool that she's in the TVA, for sure. Destroying the Darkhold caused massive incursion. The TVA had to step in. She was taken, held captive with no memory of the past. Then Doom controls the TVA and will make the Scarlet Witch his weapon. Yeah, that's possible. I don't know if it's an incursion, but it's certainly wild as hell. I mean, there were rumors that Marvel was going to reveal that the Darkhold was actually written by Kang, and that Kang was like manipulating what Wanda would be in all these different timelines. So that's kind of interesting. I wonder if they'll do anything with that with Doom. But yeah, I think her destruction of the Darkhold was obviously a big deal, very impactful. I don't know that it caused incursions, although her going to 838 could have. What if 838 gets destroyed and then the TVA is like, God damn it, what happened here? Oh, it wasn't this Wanda. She was dreamwalking. What the hell? And then they found her. Yeah, I don't know. That could be. That could be, brother. Shockwave Lab says, hey, Josh, what are your thoughts on the newest Venom comic and it just being some random dude that MJ was seeing and Eddie Brock being the new Carnage? I actually haven't seen any of that. Sounds kind of dumb. Is this... So they had that big mystery. This was the Venom with the gold, right? So is the Venom with the gold, and he ended up just being some random guy that MJ was banging? I mean, that sounds kind of lame. What do you think of it? I don't know. I'm not that invested in it, but it sounds kind of lame. And then Eddie Brock is the new Carnage? I mean, that sounds very comic booky. That sounds very comic booky. I do read comics, Cloned Avenger. I've probably read more comics than you have. Not that it's a competition, but mine is bigger. Very thick. And also, I am behind on my comics. I'm behind on my comics. And I'm mad that I'm behind on my comics. And so when you bring that up, that I don't read comics, it hurts my feelings because I want to read my comics. I wish I had the time to read my comics. So don't say that. Optimus Prime Rib with a 5 spot says, wasn't the Star-Lord will return card colors inverted? Could be cool if he came back as an evil variant. Oh, man. You're going crazy, Optimus Prime Rib. You're going crazy. You're going crazy. I don't think so, bud. I mean, that's kind of interesting, but nah. Like, we can't have every single character come back evil. That would be a little too much. I think they're bringing certain characters back evil, and there's a story reason they're doing it. They want to challenge the new characters. And I think they also want to earn the heroic return, right, with what's happening. I don't think you're going to get an evil Star-Lord. Do you want an evil Star-Lord? Yeah, evil baby Groot. Like, I don't know. I don't know if we need all that, you know? Appreciate the love, though. Steve McT says, Pattinson as the new Xavier. I'm calling it right now. What? Bro. That's the wildest shit I've heard all day. Let me think about it for a second. Robert Pattinson. You know what else is kind of interesting, guys? Can we talk about Robert Pattinson for a second? I almost put this into the regular part of the show. I don't know if you guys saw this. Grace said in her video or stream yesterday. No, it was a video, I think. That Robert Pattinson, when they asked Safran and James Gunn about Robert Pattinson as Batman, he said unlikely. Did you guys know that? So a lot of people were claiming that he said no. He did not actually say no. He said unlikely, which technically leaves the door open for it to happen. And Grace went over this whole thing about why it should happen. By the way, I agree with her. I think it should happen. But if it's not happening, I wonder if that's why Pattinson has been taking meetings with Marvel, because he might know his future as Batman is kind of in jeopardy. Fascinating. Fascinating. Wouldn't that be fascinating? It would be really interesting if that's actually going down behind the scenes. And what a move by Kevin Feige. You know, people were talking about Kevin getting back to his gangster ways. How gangster is that? What if he's already got Batman? Because he's not Batman anymore. Very interesting. Yeah, I don't know. Just interesting times. Pattinson is the new Xavier, though? I don't think so, bud. I know, cloned Avenger. I know. The Exodus says, Wanda and RDJ Doom meet, escaping the TVA stasis pods. I mean, bro, that'd be an interesting idea. I mean, that's what I mean, though. Like, we like this kind of shit, bro. Like, we're into this kind of stuff, this mystery, this intrigue. Where does this go from? This is kind of cool. And maybe we don't have to wait 2 years and waste $200 million. Instead, we could just make a comic book. I don't know. Maybe there's room for this. Maybe this is a good way forward. We'll see. Appreciate you, brother. Rossi says, buy a saber, be a neighbor at Theory Sabers. 100% Rose. Appreciate you, bud. Wait, what the hell? You just gave me money to promote Theory Sabers? I don't know what's happening. Steve McT with a 5 spot says, TVA collecting the greatest threats to the multiverse in one room. Not a good idea if Doom finds it. You see? You're thinking the same thing I'm thinking. That's where we're getting his Illuminati and Wanda. Maybe. What if King Thanos is in there? Bro, what if the next issue has Doom's Illuminati? I'll bust. Just to be honest. That could be really cool, man. That could be really cool. I like where your head's at. Trey Bryant with a 10 spot. That's very generous, brother. It's also your first super chat, so thank you. Says, yo, Josh, just wanted to spread the love. Can't wait for Nerd Theory. Don't forget the White Claws. Yeah, maybe I should take a White Claw. Dude, I got a little tore up last night. Did you guys know that they make White Claws 8% these days? I did not know that. Did you guys know that? 8%? Yeah, dude. I did not know that. No, I'm not a 22-year-old girl. Oh, yeah? Jeez, Adam. low-hanging fruit comment there. You couldn't have come up with something better? If you drink enough, it looks like 88%. Yeah. Yeah, White Claw Surge. Yeah, and so my dumbass thought that Surge meant flavor surge, and I was literally looking at them, and I'm like, oh, so they made them more flavorful? I mean, that's probably cool. They were a little lacking in flavor before. Hey, don't say that, Adam! Adam, I can't wait to smash your orcs. Yeah, so I was like, yeah, they're probably just extra flavory. And I was like, God damn, these things are kind of hitting. 8%? Okay, anyway. Appreciate you, Trey. We'll see you tonight, buddy. Ross says, remember when the set for Rise was in Fortnite and reference in the crawl was awful? I'm a Star Wars apologist, LOL. LOL. Anyway, counting KK's days away. I know, dude. That shit is wild. Star Wars. Oh, man. Hey, look, maybe Dave will do better now, you know? John Snow, thanks for gifting a membership. Clone Avenger says, I know you read comics, just messing with you. Yeah, and you hurt my feelings. But it's all right. Sud says, is Annihilus still rumored to be a part of the Marvel phase? A little bit. I mean, it's hard to say what's going on with Annihilus. You know, so basically the Nova show, which was going to have Annihilus as a villain, it's been put on pause. Some people are saying it's because maybe they realized Annihilus should be a much bigger villain, so maybe they don't want to just put him in a show and start off with a show. So maybe that's what's going on. Maybe they're going to remove him from the show and make Annihilus like a big phase type villain. I think for now, what I would tell you is my money's on Apocalypse and the Eternals and Celestials being a big part of like the big bad. Maybe it's Annihilus as well. Maybe not. I'm not really sure. Watch those wrist rockets, says catch up on your comics. Lantern set photo out. Wait, what? There's a Lantern set photo out? Ain't no way. Ain't no way. Oh, no! Lantern set photos! Why does it look like a CW show? Why does everything look like Wait a minute. Now, wait a minute. Let's look at the set photo. Okay, let's look at the set photo together here, guys. Couple of interesting things going on here, okay? So you've got Jon Stewart and you've got Hal Jordan. Here's the thing, though. Hal has the ring. We can't see Jon's hand, but it kind of seems like he does not have the ring. Interesting. You know, I was talking to you guys about some spoilers from back in the day. I don't know that those spoilers were real, but I'll tell you one thing that was in those spoilers, and that's that there's only one ring in the show. The whole idea, oh, you can't see it because my camera's on it. Here, I'll live. Here, see? You can't exactly see it. Like maybe the ring's hiding on one of his other fingers. You can only kind of see his index finger here. But there's only one ring in this photo. Now, in those rumors that I read, the whole idea is that Hal is no longer a Green Lantern, and his ring has passed on to Jon Stewart. Jon Stewart, as a Green Lantern, is brought in to investigate this murder. Hal goes there to investigate the murder because basically the murder in the leaks was Alan Scott. I don't know if this is real or not. I kind of think it's not real, but it was going to be like Alan Scott. And so Hal shows up because he has a connection to Scott. But in the leaks, there were times where like Jon Stewart would just give the ring back to Hal so that Hal could do some Hal shit. Because Hal's like maybe the greatest Green Lantern ever. His constructs were ridiculous and his willpower was like unmatched. So, I don't know. That's kind of interesting that there's only one ring in this photo. Very, very interesting. What do you guys think? I mean, I think it looks cool. They look good. Hopefully the show's good. I've heard the show is weird. People keep describing it as like really weird. And I'm like, what, like James Gunn weird? Like, I don't know about that shit. I don't know about that shit. Interesting, huh? All right, well, that's cool, man. Any other thoughts, comments, questions, concerns, chat? Oh, I guess I should look at Twitch a little bit. Sorry, Twitch. Sorry. See if you guys are saying anything interesting. Aaron Pierre is Sexy Beast. Let's go. Aaron Pierre, a.k.a. King Mufasa. What the hell is this? Ooh, the cover to the comic. Yeah. Man, Twitch, I love you guys, but sometimes y'all be just going crazy over there. Sometimes y'all just be going crazy. I regret looking at Twitch chat. That was terrible. That was like opening up a book, and it's just that no. What is it about Twitch that like makes people more rude? I feel like the chat on Twitch is legitimately more rude. Or I don't know. Yeah. Or just pedantic. Yeah. Yeah, I'm done. I'm done with Twitch. I'm probably never opening that chat again. In fact, I don't even know if we're going to stream on Twitch anymore. Holy. Probably a bunch of people that got banned from the YouTube chat that go over to Twitch just so that they can do all the stuff that originally pissed me off and made me ban them in the first place. Admit it, Twitch chat. That's exactly what you are, isn't it? Admit it! We're losing our street cred. All right. Anyway, any other thoughts, comments, questions, guys? I'm going to get on out of here. A little bit of a shorter show for you today. Hope you don't mind. But we've had some really chunky shows this week, and there's a lot of stuff I got to get into. A lot of work. And, of course, I'll see you guys tonight at 8 for Nerd Theory. It's going to be a good time. I'm excited. I'm excited. Oh, now there's a bunch of people going over to Twitch to see what the Twitch people are saying. That's amazing. Amazing. Unbelievable. Hey, appreciate you. Greg and Lizzie, appreciate you. Much love. Is this a one-off Nerd Theory? Yeah, it's a one-off. Although I have no problem going back on there, like when some really cool Star Wars stuff happens or whatever. But look, the truth of the matter is, like, I am drowning in work right now. It's just been really busy. I'm trying to do a lot right now. Getting the Clips channel going, the live channel, continuing to try to make improvements. Podcasting stuff, and then on the main channel as well, like working on a lot of videos and whatnot. So very, very, very busy. I can't really commit to much more. I'm still going to do the podcast with Nerd of the Rings. I'm excited to get in there and talk some Warhammer, but even that has been slow going. Yeah, and Unity for sure. It's all just kind of like things are just crazy right now. I do have a plan, and I think I will be able to kind of work myself out of it and get into the next stage where I have a lot more help. Right now, I'm kind of shouldering a lot until we can get other people fit into the system. But there is potentially a way out. But for right now, oh my. I'm barely holding on. Are you getting another haircut today? No, but soon. Soon. Is that 6 p.m. Central Time? I believe it's actually 5 p.m. Central Time. Yeah, I believe it's 5. Uh-oh, what the hell's this? Oh, yeah, I saw that. Let's see here. All right, everybody. Appreciate you. Thank you for all the love, all the support, man. It's been real. See you guys tomorrow. We should have a video out for you later today. Actually, a big video talking about how all of the movies fit together and do set up Doomsday with a lot of things that people have been saying. Kind of wanted to put that into like a nice, well-produced, very well-edited video. So that'll drop later today. And I'll see you guys tonight for Nerd Theory. And tomorrow for another daily show. Maybe some crazy news will come out. You never know. As I always say, I hope you are having an awesome and a nerdy day. And I'll see you in the next video. Is everybody gone? Did everybody leave? Oh man, another happy landing. Really appreciate y'all. Thank you so much. Kind of a more chilled, laid back show, you know? I was like scrambling in the morning. I was like, I don't even know. Should I stream today? Like, I'm so busy. Like, when news is light like this, I'm like, man, my time would be better used just working on all these videos and these other things. But you know what? I wanted to get in here and stream for you, the people. You know, just kick it. Talk some shit. Have some fun. So I hope you appreciate it. Hope you had a good time. And I also appreciate all these $2 super chats at the end here that I'm not going to read, but thank you. Much love. Do me a favor. Open up your third eye. And wash out your stinky butthole again.